The decision of an arbitration panel has been published following a legal challenge by Manchester City FC against the Premier League's associated party transaction, APT Rules. The Premier League welcomes the tribunal's findings, which endorse the overall objectives, framework, and decision-making of the APT system. The tribunal upheld the need for the APT system as a whole and rejected the majority of Manchester City's challenges. Moreover, the tribunal found that the rules are necessary in order for the league's financial controls to be effective. The decision represents an important and detailed assessment of the APT rules, which ensure clubs are not able to benefit from commercial deals or reductions in costs that are not at fair market value, FMV, by virtue of relationships with associated parties. These rules were introduced to provide a robust mechanism to safeguard the financial stability, integrity, and competitive balance of the league. The tribunal did, however, identify a small number of discrete elements of the rules which do not, in their current form, comply with competition and public law requirements. More information below. These elements can quickly and effectively be remedied by the league and clubs. In the meantime, the Premier League will continue to operate the existing APT system, taking into account the findings made by the tribunal. While the arbitration process is confidential, the Premier League and the club have agreed to make public a redacted copy of the decision, withholding only confidential and commercially sensitive information. Summary of the decision. Competition law. Manchester City brought a wholesale challenge to the legality, design, framework, and implementation of the APT rules. The club was unsuccessful in the majority of its challenge. Significantly, the tribunal determined that the APT rules are necessary, pursued a legitimate objective, and were put in place to ensure that the profitability and sustainability rules, PSR, are effective, thereby supporting and delivering sporting integrity and sustainability in the Premier League. The tribunal noted that it is difficult to see how the PSR can be effective without the APT rules, including the ability to restate transactions. In particular, it found that there was sufficient evidence to justify that the previous regime, whereby related party transactions could only be restated by the Premier League board to FMV where they had first been identified in the club's audited accounts, was ineffective in controlling APTs. Therefore, it was necessary to move to a system that allowed for assessment by the board at the point of the transaction itself. The tribunal rejected a range of arguments put forward by Manchester City relating to the framework of the APT rules, including: it agreed with the Premier League that if the price of an APT is evidently not at FMV, competition will be distorted as the club would be benefiting from a subsidy. It found that the APT rules include appropriately detailed criteria as to the determination of FMV and that the process for assessment of FMV is a clearly defined, transparent, and non-discriminatory one, as required by competition law. It rejected Manchester City's argument that the object of the APT rules was to discriminate against clubs with ownership from the Gulf region. More generally, except in two respects only, addressed below, it found that Manchester City's arguments were unfounded, including on any alleged inconsistency in approach as between certain types of clubs. The tribunal made two findings in favor of Manchester City: that shareholder loans should not be excluded from the scope of the APT rules. By way of background, the exclusion of shareholder loans from the APT rules was a choice by the majority of clubs who wished to encourage transparent INV.